can do through the program. So to be eligible for College Credit Plus, a student can meet one of a few criteria. One of them is a remediation-free score on one of the standard assessment exams. So depending on the college, that might look different. Some of the colleges require a certain test. They might look at ACT scores, AccuPlacer scores, things like that. We'll talk about those more in a moment. Students are automatically eligible to participate if they have a 3.0 unweighted GPA or above. Students can also participate if they have an unweighted GPA of 2.75 or above, and also have an A or B in certain relevant classes. So just because a student is eligible doesn't mean they can necessarily go to any university or college. Most of the community colleges are open enrollment, so if a student's eligible for the program, they can also get into that community college, so like Sinclair, Southern State. But if a student applies to Wright State or UC, Ohio State, any of those schools do have kind of the final word on admission. But that's the second step in the process, is actually applying to the colleges. And then registering for courses. So this happens in a couple of different ways. If students are taking a class on site through us, so here at the high school, the registration process happens actually through the high school. But for students who are taking them with the college, either online or at the college, all of that occurs through the college. All right, we can help give you as counselors an idea of making sure that what you're taking is going to lead you towards the right graduation requirements, all that good stuff. But ultimately, the academic advisors at the college are going to be the ones that are helping you register for those classes. And depending on the college, depending on how many years you've participated, a lot of our students start registering for classes online. The first 15 credit hours have to be level 1 courses. So for those of you going to like taking classes at Southern State, or Sinclair, that will be the vast majority of classes that you can take there anyway. These are courses that are transferable, courses in computer science, IT, physiology, foreign language. So it's really a wide variety of courses. Your academic advisor would help make sure that you're taking the right courses. Some non-allowable courses, these are important, especially for students looking to participate at like a private school. So there are a few private schools. Wilmington College does not participate in College Credit Plus, but locally, one of the big ones that our students use is Cedarville. Cedarville does have some non-allowable courses, specifically in the religion department. So if you're doing a course in Bible study or something, that's not allowable under CCP. Like, you can take the course, that's great, but the state will not pay for that. Some other courses that we haven't run into as much, some performing art courses. So if a course is having you do some one-on-one lessons, and that's a lot of money, the state doesn't pay for that. Anything that's study abroad, unfortunately, we're not going to pay for you to, I guess, to go to Europe and take classes, although that would be fun. Any class that's like a physical education class. I know a lot of colleges will have classes like golf or something. You can't take golf under CCP. Anything that's a pass-fail class as well. And then, like I said, those religious courses that are kind of specific to a religion, and anything that is a remedial course. So by remedial course, that means if your math score doesn't quite meet the threshold for eligibility, and they say you need to take a beginning algebra class before you can take the college algebra class, CCP does not pay for that beginning algebra class. In that case, we would encourage you to take some more math classes at the high school and then try to do CCP later. So students can take quite a bit of classes under the CCP program. You have a maximum of 30 credit hours per year, but any course that you take at the high school counts as 3, so a full year course. So let's say if a student is taking 4 classes here at the high school, 4 year-long classes, that would count as 12, so then you'd have 18 credit hours to kind of play with through CCP. If a student does enroll in more than 30 credit hours in a year, the college and the high school will kind of talk. Usually the college will let the student know, hey, this is going to put you over 30 hours. Either you drop the class or you then can pay for the class on your own. So some things to think about. There are a lot of things that we encourage you to think about and talk about with your family, making sure that this is the right program for you. Any grade that a student gets in a College Credit Plus class is going to go on their high school and college transcript. So when a student, for example, gets a withdrawal fail, like they drop a class too late at certain schools, if they put that on the college transcript, we are also going to put that on the high school transcript. Now, sometimes that won't affect GPA or anything, but we do have to put it on the high school transcript. But we do weight those grades, so any CCP course is going to be weighted on where an A equals 5 points for the GPA instead of an A equaling 4 points, and kind of going down from there. One thing that has tripped up some students, and we've had to try to get a hold of students, is they haven't done students who turn 18 while enrolled in College Credit Plus do need to register for selective service. If that does not happen, the student then becomes responsible for any fees, tuition, and stuff. It takes like 5 minutes, but man, sometimes the colleges, they'll call us kind of panicking, saying this kid has like 3 days to register, or we're going to charge them for everything. So we have to call them down and get them on it. So if you are turning 18 and you're in the College Credit Plus program, please pay attention to your emails when the registrar emails you. She's an important person at Southern State. Just pay attention to what she's telling you. All right, more things to think about. We like to point out that some students do College Credit Plus because it provides them with some flexibility in their schedule, right? So if you're working, maybe you're able to fit in your college classes a little bit easier, especially if they're online. What some students have not taken into consideration is that just because it's a 3 credit hour course does not mean that you will spend 3 hours a week working on that course, right? What they'll tell you is that probably means that you're spending somewhere between 6 and 9 hours studying for that course on top of it, all right? So a lot different than probably what you're used to in high school. There's a lot of out-of-class work that is going to be expected if you're coming into a class session, having read a lot of the materials, being ready to discuss them. And then there's also, in college, there's fewer tests, and they cover a lot more material, and they're worth a lot more. We've definitely had some students who have been surprised about maybe they're in a history class or something, and there's a midterm, and there's a final that are each about 40% of the grade, and they tank the midterm because they just weren't ready for it, hadn't studied quite enough, and they realize, oh, that's like my whole grade for this course. So students it really does put a lot more pressure on those tests in certain classes. There are a lot of other classes that will add in participation, things like that, but it changes quite a bit from class to class in college. Some other differences, like we said, fewer tests, there's fewer homework assignments, often worth more points, covering more information. The role of the parent and guardian is very different through CCP. This is another place where we see people getting tripped up, is parents contacting professors expecting to get a response. That usually won't happen. The professors will kind of wait for the student to contact them. So making sure that you're really setting your student up for success and understanding that they're going to be the one that's going to need to take responsibility for those conversations with professors. because there are specific rules about professors being able to talk to parents, right? So they're not just doing it because they don't feel like it. A lot of times they're doing it because of FERPA rules. So parents and guardians are definitely more mentors, more kind of support in a supportive role, and the expectations on the student are a lot higher. Some accommodations, we have had questions about this in the past. For students on IEPs or 504s, colleges are still under a lot of those laws. And so if you do have a 504 or an IEP, that is something that's really important to talk to a lot of colleges call it like Office of Disability Services, talking to them about accommodations that they can provide at the college level. It might look different than the high school level. There are different things that they can do than we can in high school. However, one thing that's really important to do is having those conversations early, not saying at the end of a semester, oh, hey, we'd like to receive these accommodations, or did my high school send anything to you about my accommodations? Because we can't. So that's gotta fall on the parent and student. This is another favorite conversation that we've had over the years as counselors is, what does it mean to be college ready? So we have a lot of students who are very capable. They do pretty well in high school. They mostly stay up on their work, but they generally know what's going on in the classroom. And they start to think, all right, maybe I'm college ready. And sometimes that's the case, and sometimes that's not. So what we want you to really consider is, are you ready for the amount of independent work, the expectations of keeping up on everything without having a teacher there to remind you of your assignments? So there's a lot more to being college ready than just being intelligent and good at math, right? There's definitely a lot more to it. The time management and organizational skills are really, really hard. Usually that's a wake-up call for a lot of our students who have kind of, they've done pretty well. They've gotten by, and they take a college class, and there's a lot more to keep track of. So important to really have those conversations with your student. That's not to necessarily discourage you, because this is also an opportunity to build those skills, right? This is where a lot of our students build those skills to be ready for college. And sometimes this is a nice way to do that before they're taking, instead of taking 4 or 5 classes a semester, maybe they're taking one college class a semester, as well as their high school classes, and that helps ease that transition a little bit. So some benefits, there are definitely some obvious benefits of College Credit Plus. That's why it's a popular program. So you get you can earn high school and college credit for each class that you're taking. That's always a good thing. You're getting a head start in career planning. We have a lot of students who take things that they think might be interesting as a career later on, a lot of times just to get a feel for, like, hey, I might want to do exercise science when I get older. I'm going to take an exercise science class through a college, and if I really don't like it, I just found that out for free instead of finding it out my sophomore or junior year of college. Experiencing college early, again, understanding those expectations of college life, like I was saying, helping that ease that transition, hopefully. And then the big one, which I like how they kind of bury this up in there, is saving tuition. I think that's why a lot of people do it. College is very expensive, and so I think this helps. That's a big draw for the program, obviously, is you can potentially save quite a bit of money doing this. There are, however, some risks. There are some consequences for underperforming. Families might be asked to reimburse costs if a student fails a course, or if they withdraw after the no-fault deadline. So that's usually a couple weeks into the semester. If a student is considered economically disadvantaged, we don't ask, we are not allowed to ask to reimburse those funds, but if you do fail or withdraw too late from a course, you do end up getting a letter from our central office. Students can be placed on CCP probation if their GPA in CCP classes drops below a 2.0, or if they fail or withdraw too late from 2 or more classes in the same semester. So what does that mean? You can only enroll in 1 College Credit Plus course for the next term. You may not enroll in a college course in the same subject in which you previously earned a D, an F, or you did not complete it. And then if students don't increase their GPA up above a 2.0 during their probation term, they can be placed on CCP dismissal, which is exactly what it sounds like. That means you cannot do any more CCP classes. So a student can request through an appeal process to be reinstated to the program. You can also, through CCP probation, request, let's say you got a D in an English class and you failed a history class. You could apply to be able to take another course in English, and that could be appealed. So that is an option. Again, you can see the probation, and then for the dismissal, it has to be pretty quick, but the student can submit an appeal to the secondary school, so that would be sending a letter to us. We have kind of a form and a way that we encourage students to do this, and that has to go actually at the high school. That ultimately goes through our superintendent. So some other potential consequences for underperforming that students can run into. Those grades don't come off of your college transcript after you graduate high school. So they're still on there. And if students fail or withdraw too often, future financial aid can be impacted. So that's because for most financial aid, there's a certain satisfactory academic process that you have, or progress that you have to reach in order to renew those scholarships or loans or grants. So that can change from college to college, but it is something to be aware of. So the expenses for College Credit Plus, this is one of my favorite things about College Credit Plus, is they have chosen to call this option A, and that's where you pay for everything. So I don't know. And then you can choose whether they earn college credit or only college credit, or college credit and high school credit or only college credit. So this is option A. That's what the state has chosen to call it. This is option B, which is the default option, which is probably what interests most people in CCP, and that is that the state pays for it. The state pays for tuition, for fees, for textbooks, and that you earn college and high school credit. We did have it explained to us that some students, for whatever reason, they're worried about their high school GPA, and so if they're taking a really difficult college course, they may choose to pay for it, and then say that it shouldn't show up on their high school transcript. But obviously, option B is the default option for a reason. So some support services. You still have your school counselors here to try to support. There are so many things there are a lot of things that we can't answer with College Credit Plus, usually with some specific classes. But we try to do what we can and maybe help research with the colleges. Those college advisors, which you'll be assigned an advisor at whichever college you choose to go to, they will help you choose some courses as well, find some courses maybe that if you've got a college in mind that you want to go to after high school, they can even help you talk through which classes might transfer. And then colleges do have to provide the same academic supports for CCP students, including tutoring, library services, advising. So if you're going to Southern State, you have full access to their library. You have access to their online library, anything that other students have. And you also have access to tutoring. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do. You are a Southern State student, you can go and you can get your ID. In fact, we may be having them come pretty soon to take pictures of current students to give them their Southern State ID so they can get into the library and they can do all those things. So that's something to consider as well. Athletic eligibility, this is always one that trips us up with CCP, but we are getting it more and more figured out. making sure that you know the OHSAA requirements. So checking if you've got an idea of what you want your schedule to be, making sure, usually it's just a quick email to us saying, I want to take these courses and they're this many credit hours each, and we can tell you, yep, as long as you're passing everything, you're going to be eligible. Summer CCP courses, so let's say you were to fail a couple courses fourth quarter, and that made you not eligible for the fall. You can't just say, well, I'll take a couple of CCP courses over the summer and boost that up. Summer courses don't count towards eligibility. If you fail a few courses in fourth quarter, probably don't take a CCP class over the summer. We'll focus on high school first. All right. Credit transfer, this is always something to look at. Within the state of Ohio, the vast majority of courses now transfer. They've done a pretty good job of working towards that. And there are some laws in place. So if let's say you're transferring from Southern State to University of Cincinnati, there are a lot of courses that transfer back and forth. Ohio State has a really good website up there where you can actually search to see which courses will transfer. And like I said, you can talk to your academic advisor about this. You're almost finished. So a few deadlines. By April 1st, you do need to complete this intent to participate form. We have brought in some pens up here. If you would like to complete it now, just leave it with us. Maybe you're not sure if your student will bring it back. That happens. You can always feel free. Make sure the student and parent sign that. We want you to fill out that counseling form as well. Depending on your college or university, they may require the ACT or SAT, just making sure that you know what those dates are. That would only be if you're thinking about going to University of Cincinnati, Ohio State, something like that. And then also some semester deadlines. So course registration for summer, for example, that will take place in the not too distant future. So if you're thinking you want to take summer classes, making sure that you're filling out the application, doing that type of stuff pretty quickly. So some other next steps, contacting the college, making sure that you know which assessment testing requirements they have. All right, so if you're with most colleges that our students participate in, namely Southern State being the biggest one, then Sinclair, for the most part, when you apply, they're going to send you a letter that says, all right, thank you for applying. Here's how you do the placement testing. Again, the intent to participate form, making sure that you're applying for admission with the college. All right, that's something that you need to do. And then you can talk with us about scheduling and graduation requirements, especially once you have an idea of what you want to schedule with a school. We can kind of tell you once our master schedule is built, maybe you need to, come half of the day to the high school and you're doing half of the day at college. We will be offering the AccuPlacer on April 19th. The big thing that is at the high school. So that's through Southern State. So anyone who is applying to Southern State can take the AccuPlacer here on April 19th. This would only be for students who have applied to Southern State by April 12th. All right? The reason for that is we have to give them all of the names and all of the information for each student who is taking that, who's going to be taking that test. This makes it really, really easy. You don't have to drive to Hillsborough to take it. Students just come in that morning, we set it up, and they take the AccuPlacer here with someone from Southern State. The Department of Higher Education, if you just search the Ohio Department of Higher Education, CCP, this website will come up. There's a lot of resources for families on there, a lot of really good information. There's some FAQs, some things that we maybe didn't cover tonight or that you might have questions on that the state can answer. You can also reach out to us as counselors. Like I said, Kaylin's here from Southern State. Any Southern State specific question, tonight's a great time to ask her. I do have some full information folders for Sinclair. If anyone's interested in Sinclair, I'll leave those up here as well. So there's a lot of moving parts with CCP, a lot of pieces of support, a lot of opportunities. but obviously a lot of responsibilities for students and families. And we're here to support you as much as we can through that. We have a lot more people participating in College Credit Plus each year, which is exciting. And you know, it's like I said, it's a great opportunity for families to have some of that burden of tuition maybe taken away, for students to explore some different career paths and get some of those gen ed requirements out of the way, and kind of experience a different challenge, and get ready for college. My last thing is, our front office secretaries have asked me to add this slide in, which is please check in with the front office if you have a conference tonight. That was the last thing. So if you do have questions, we'll be hanging around. You can feel free to come ask us. Like I said, Kaylin's here, and I will have some information for St. Clair, kind of up in this area. If you do, if you want to fill out that intent to participate form and the counseling form, you can feel free to come up and you can leave that up here with us. We have some pens up here as well. All right, thank you for coming.